Harry and Arun Foot. We had some topics lined up to discuss the Gujarat Super League, Kerala Super League, the technical committee's recommendations for the Indian women's teams. But there's breaking news. Of course, I know you mentioned it before we started. Ivan Vukomanic has been axed by the Kerala Blasters. He will no longer serve as head coach of the Blasters. It'll be interesting to see who they bring in as replacement. But of course, we said it. You guys said it, both of you. It was a 3-year cycle. It came to an end. It ended with no trophies for Vukomanovic, which would have gone down as a disappointment and sort of been labeled as a failure in the end, despite the Blasters consistently making into the top 5-6. There's nothing to show for it. I think that was what it was at the end of the day. Just quickly, Anava and Hiren, I just want to take your reactions before we move on. We'll discuss everything else that is there on the agenda. But Anava, first reactions to this. You said it was expected, and yeah, it happened.
Good evening, everyone. I felt it was coming. Let's be honest about this, because I felt that Vukomanovic has given something to the club, the fans have given something to him. But at the end of the 10th season of the Indian Super League, with all that the Blasters have achieved, let's say off-field, in regard to filling up a stadium, getting a lot of sponsors, being one of the most talked about clubs out of the ISL, you couldn't win a trophy. And that to me is something which we can talk about anything and everything, but be it in an Indian context or be it in any other footballing context, and to me, very clearly, this is something I think the Blasters will look at next season and say, listen, we need to rebuild. I think the last few weeks and months, it wasn't the best, and it'll be interesting to see who they try and bring in. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yep, absolutely. Hiren, your first reactions.
Good evening, guys. First of all, and definitely, I think जैसे आपने बोला कि हमने तो ये 2-3 दिन पहले जब केरला ब्लास्टर की रिगार्डिंग बात की थी, तब हमने मेंशन किया था कि इवेंचुअली हो जाना चाहिए, बट क्योंकि आपको पता है कि इवान वुकोनोविच इज अ फिगर की जो फैन फेवरेट भी थे केरला ब्लास्टर के, अगर आप देखिए जिस तरह से उनका यहाँ पे उनमें ट्रस्ट था, एंड जैसे आपने बोला कि लगातार 3 सीजन उन्होंने बैक टू बैक उनको प्लेऑफ में क्वालिफाई करवाया था, बट आई थिंक दिस इज द मैनेजमेंट डिसीजन. जिस तरह से उन्होंने कहीं ना कहीं, मेरे को लगता है कि जो लास्ट समर ट्रांसफर विंडो में भी जो प्लेयरों की रिगार्डिंग कुछ डिसीजन लिए थे, वो भी काफी सारे लोगों के लिए सरप्राइजिंग थे, आउटसाइड लोगों के लिए, कि भाई आप ऐसे प्लेयरों को क्यों जाने दे रहे हो, जिसमें प्रभ शुक्रन गिल थे, जिसमें आपके सहल अब्दुल समद थे. बट आई थिंक क्लब ने, आई थिंक एंड पर्टिकुलरली आई थिंक मैनेजमेंट ने एंड टेक्निकल डायरेक्टर ने, आई थिंक जिस स्पोर्टिंग डायरेक्टर ने जिस तरह से आई थिंक आगे का उनका प्लान है, उस हिसाब से कहना कि ये इनएविटेबल था, क्योंकि 3 सीजन हो चुके थे एंड यू डिडंट विन अ ट्रॉफी, एंड इतने बड़े क्लब में इतने बड़े फैन बेस के साथ एक्सपेक्टेशन भी उतनी ज्यादा होती है. सो वो भी एक फैक्टर इन होता है यहाँ पे, एंड डेफिनेटली लॉट्स ऑफ केरला ब्लास्टर फैंस में भी इस डिसीजन से एट द मोमेंट एग्री नहीं करेंगे, बट आई थिंक इट वाज कमिंग. जैसे सर ने बोला कि आफ्टर दिस सीजन आई थिंक ओवरऑल एंडिंग, आई थिंक इट वाज कमिंग. सो that's happened, and let's see who is coming to take over the new charge at the Kerala Blaster, because it is not going to be easy. जैसे मैंने बोला कि इतना बड़ा fan base है, expectation will be that trophy to deliver the first trophy to club. So let's see. Mute.
Yeah, sorry, Sushmit, I think puts it very correctly. He says you can't survive by stroking emotions. It's absolutely right. Should have done it earlier. I think they probably just want to stick with him and see what happens this season, but it didn't work out. And I think correct decision in the end. It was about time. Hiren, of course, now the new Gujarat Super League is being talked about, is being discussed. What exactly, I mean, you being in Gujarat, of course, you probably provide us a better picture of everything that is happening around the league. What exactly is it about? When can we expect it to happen? Who are the people involved? What are the teams you can expect? Can you tell us everything that you know about the Super League?
So गुजरात सुपर लीग इज बेसिकली, अगर सिंपल टर्म्स में बोले तो जैसे आपका नेशनल लेवल पे आईएसएल है, उसी तरह से गुजरात के लिए स्टेट लेवल पे, बट छोटे मार्जिन पे. अभी लेवल पे अगर आप देखेंगे तो छोटे लेवल पे उन्होंने स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं कि 12 दिन का ही एक टूर्नामेंट सा टाइप ही, जिसको मतलब नाम देने के लिए उन्होंने गुजरात सुपर लीग खोला है, एंड 12 दिन का टूर्नामेंट है. 6 फ्रेंचाइजी इसमें पार्टिसिपेट कर रही है। क्या बोलते हैं कि जो ट्रांस स्टेडियम अहमदाबाद का है उसको एज ए वेन्यू चूज किया गया है, इसका ब्रॉडकास्टिंग होगा। एक 120 प्लेयर पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं इसमें, यानी कि 6 टीमें, यानी कि 20 प्लेयर्स ईच टीम। इसमें से 85 प्लेयर गुजरात के हैं, 84, एंड बाकी जो 36 प्लेयर है वो यहाँ पे जो अभी रिसेंटली संतोष ट्रॉफी हुई थी उसमें से उन्होंने प्लेयर को यहाँ पे साइन किया है। फ्रेंचाइजी के अगर ओनर्स की बात करें तो यहाँ पे डिफरेंट डिफरेंट जो यहाँ पे बिजनेसमैन है गुजरात के ही है सारे, उनको यहाँ पे उन्होंने ऑन बोर्ड किया है। स्पॉन्सरशिप के मामले में उन्होंने गुजरात टूरिज्म, जो कि गुजरात स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का जो है विंग, उनको यहाँ पे लाया है। बाकी 2-3 और स्पॉन्सरशिप भी यहाँ पे वो लेके आए हैं। ब्रॉडकास्टिंग वाइज फीफा प्लस एंड स्पॉडकास्ट भी करने वाले हैं। एंड 12 दिन का टूर्नामेंट है, हर एक टीम एक दूसरे के सामने खेलेगी, देन यहाँ पे फाइनल होगा। एक आई थिंक मेरे को लगता है कि जो फर्स्ट इसका जो मैं देखता हूँ कि जो एम है टू यू कैन से कि मेक अवेयर गुजरात पीपल अबाउट द फुटबॉल। आई थिंक वो सबसे पहला चीज है। गुजरात स्टेट लीग होती है क्योंकि काफी सारे लोगों का एक क्वेश्चन है कि गुजरात स्टेट लीग हो रही है तो व्हाई दिस फ्रेंचाइजी मॉडल दे आर ब्रिंगिंग अप। बट आई थिंक कहीं ना कहीं हम सबको पता है कि स्टेट लीग में और जिस तरह से सारी पर्टिकुलरली इन स्टेट लाइक गुजरात, वहां पे वो उतना ज्यादा आप देखें कि वैसे ही फुटबॉल का नेशनल टीम का भी पता नहीं होता उसमें। अगर आप इस तरह का कोई यहाँ पे क्या बोलते हैं उनका इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, बट इस तरह के जो कॉर्पोरेट हाउस है उनको लाने से आई थिंक जिस तरह से आईएसएल ने भी एक वो 2014 में जिस तरह से मार्केटिंग के थ्रू थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे वो करने की कोशिश की थी, वो आई थिंक सिमिलर सा मेरे को दिख रहा है। बट बेसिक चीजें यहाँ पे ये लोग अच्छी कर रहे हैं कि इतना मतलब फुल फ्लेज वो नहीं जा रहे कि भाई हम ये प्लेयर लेके आएंगे, ये खिला रहे हैं, ये सारी चीजें बड़ी बड़ी बातें नहीं है। आई थिंक बेसिक उन्होंने वो रखा है कि भाई नहीं, लोकल प्लेयरों को, लोकल कोचेस को भी यहाँ पे प्रमोट करना है, सारी चीजें वो एट द मोमेंट दिख रही है। एंड इट जस्ट स्टार्ट। यहाँ पे जो प्रेसिडेंट है गुजरात एफए के, उन्होंने भी बोला है कि इस बार हम 6 फ्रेंचाइजी के साथ स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, बट आगे हम होप करेंगे कि बाकी भी जो यहाँ पे बिजनेसेस है, बिजनेस हाउसेस है, वो यहाँ पे गुजरात के पर्टिकुलरली यहाँ पे इसमें इंटरेस्ट दिखाए और मे बी नेक्स्ट सीजन 12 कर पाए। सो धीरे धीरे उनका ये बेसिकली एम है कि गुजरात में और भी ज्यादा फुटबॉल पॉपुलर होना चाहिए। सो शुरुआत है, लेट्स सी। इट्स आई थिंक ऑन आई थिंक अरुणा सर ज्यादा बेटर बता पाएंगे कि इससे पहले कोई किसी स्टेट लीग में ऐसा, स्टेट में किसी इस तरह का फ्रेंचाइजी बेस्ड लीग हुआ है कि नहीं हुआ है। तो आई थिंक देखते कि किस तरह से इसके यहाँ पे रिजल्ट मिलते हैं। वो तो जब एक पूरा ऑर्गेनाइज होगा तभी पता चलेगा कि क्या भाई इसके प्लस पॉइंट थे, क्या माइनस पॉइंट थे।
We've got, of course, everybody's talking about the Kerala Super League as well. We've got 2 regional leagues. Can you tell us and walk us through the differences that you see between these 2 leagues? And yeah, just in general, an explainer on what both these leagues are and how they're different from one another.
So the approach is per se, be it in Gujarat or be it in Kerala, is to say that, you know what, we have a state league and it isn't working. I mean, it goes back to what was the idea in 2012, 2013, why the concept of the Indian Super League came about. And Kerala is a little different because Kerala, we know, is a football state. So you know, it has the Kerala Premier League, which is now, you know, has over 20 teams taking part and this and that and everything. But still, it doesn't gather that much of interest, even though it is played in Ernakulam, in Thrissur, in Trivandrum, across the state and all that stuff. But it doesn't really garner the interest, you know. So to me, but in Kerala, what they tried to do is they came out and said, listen, we want to build it. You know, it sounded like they wanted to compete with the ISL, right? And meanwhile, this Gujarat Super League thing has been in the pipeline for a while. And they are starting in a much smaller scale. Of course, we can talk about the scheduling. We can talk about the timing. We can talk about how the players have been brought in. I think this season will not be perfect. But I think it is more of a trial and error season for the organizers. And therefore, you know, I'll be more critical, let's say in 2-3 years down the road and say, listen, what have you achieved? Because again, if I look at, I've just got the names in front of me: Ahmedabad Avengers, Surat Strikers, Gandhinagar Giants, Vadodara Warriors, Karnavati Knights, and Saurashtra Spartans. So it is like, you know, the model of the IPL or the other franchise leagues which have come up. And but again, it's something which is starting off. So therefore, yeah, let's see. I think don't expect too much. You know, I think it's just a start. And I know I yesterday posted something. Hiren also saw it, and then, you know, people are starting, oh, you know, how can you not have RIFC in there? Look at the scheduling, look at this, the heat and all that stuff. I think if this was the perfect product, in a state like Gujarat, then we wouldn't be talking about it. I think that's something for a state like Gujarat with limited football. Again, Hiren will know better than both of us about it. You have to start somewhere, and I think this is the start. I'm sure they will learn from this, and then let's see how they build this league. Because I think, yes, the cross connections also need to be built into the mainstream of football, because my concern is if we see more of these super leagues cropping up. I myself was involved in a project in Bengal about 12 years back to create of a district league in Bengal, which was of a super league concept. This was pre ISL. To spread the game across Bengal, because the basic infrastructure is there. That's the other thing that Gujarat, for example, doesn't have in that way. That's why they're playing at Trans Stadia. Kerala, huge claims. We will build eight, world-class stadiums. 2 will be top class, whatever. You see the pictures when Iniesta, then, the rumors about, we will reactivate Zlatan, this guy, that guy, so therefore, for me, it's a difficult one, because I think you have to do it step by step and be realistic. I think that if we are in Kerala, I would put a different benchmark than if I put the benchmark on Gujarat, to be very honest.
Aishan, you're asking about the league in Kerala. If you can just rewind up like 3 to 4 minutes, before, and you can hear the start of the conversation. Arnava just explained what the differences are between the Kerala league and the Gujarat league, and what he's expecting and what not. Hiren, I wanted Arnava mentioned very important thing: culture, football culture in Gujarat. I wanted to ask you, because you're there. What is football culture today in Gujarat, and how do you think this league can change things for Gujarat?
टू बी ऑनेस्ट, एक चीज मैं बताऊं तो फुटबॉल कल्चर इन अ वे कि मतलब काफी सारे ऐसे पॉकेट्स होते हैं कि जहाँ पे लोग स्पोर्ट्स को देखते हैं बट खेलते नहीं है उतना. स्पोर्ट्स को देखते जरूर है बट वो उतना खेलते नहीं. तो गुजरात को आप उस कैटेगरी में रख सकते हो कि यहाँ पे आप देखिए कि यूरोपियन फुटबॉल वॉचर काफी सारे हैं. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि वो नहीं है. एंड उनको उनके नाम भी पता है. बट इंडियन फुटबॉल की रिगार्डिंग इन अ वे कि यहाँ पे अपने बच्चों को यहाँ पे फुटबॉल खिलवाना, वो उतना कल्चर नहीं है. मेगा सिटीज में डेफिनेटली है, अहमदाबाद, सूरत, वडोदरा, राजकोट, ये सिटीज में डेफिनेटली अभी जो पेरेंट्स आ रहे हैं इस जनरेशन के, वो डेफिनेटली अपने बच्चों को यहाँ पे वहां पे खिलाते हैं. बट वो 3-4 सिटी जो मैंने बोले वहीं पे है. जो भी एकेडमीज की बात करते आ रहा है एफसी की, वो भी सारी इन्हीं जगह पे है. बाकी आप देखिए कि बाकी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में सच कोई यहाँ पे एकेडमीज जैसे केरला में या फिर जो फुटबॉलिंग स्टेट्स है कि जहाँ पे हर जगह पे आपको छोटी एकेडमीज देखने को मिल जाएगी, ऐसा सिनारियो नहीं है. इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इज वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट आई थिंक इशू डेफिनेटली, कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की आप देखिए इन दिस 3-4 सिटी भी उतना इनफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है कि जो वहां के प्लेयरों को भी आप यहाँ पे प्रॉपरली या फिर उस तरह से अवेलेबल कर पाओ. सो दैट्स दी आल्सो वन ऑफ द थिंग. एंड आई थिंक इसीलिए मेरे को लगता है कि जो एक लीग ये जो फ्रेंचाइजी बेस्ड मॉडल स्टार्ट करने का है, कि जो बाकी अगर आप यहाँ के ये लोकल अगर बिजनेस हाउस को यहाँ पे इन्वॉल्व करोगे, वहां पे जो वर्कर्स है, धीरे धीरे आप देखिए कि आप अवेयरनेस आप यहाँ पे इसके रिगार्डिंग आप यहाँ पे फैला सकते हो. अदरवाइज इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल कि स्ट्रेट अवे आप यहाँ पे आप क्या बोलते हैं कि उस वे में कर सकते हो. तो आई थिंक उस कोशिश में मेरे को ये लग रहा है कि इन लोगों ने स्टार्ट किया है, कि देखते हैं कि कितना यहाँ पे जो इंटरेस्ट है वो आता है. एंड डेफिनेटली एक छोटे स्केल से करने का स्टार्ट पॉइंट ये भी है कि यहाँ पे अगर आप बड़े स्केल पे जाओगे देन यू नीड ए बिग मनीज, एंड उसके लिए आपको फिर बड़े हाउसेस लाने पड़ेंगे. तो वो इतना अभी आपको पता है कि इंडियन फुटबॉल में ऐसा तो सिनारियो है नहीं कि भाई एवरीवन इज रेडी टू पुट इन मनी. सो आई थिंक छोटे स्केल से करने का एक ये भी रीजन है कि अगर फेल भी हुआ तो आप देखिए कि उतना वो यहाँ पे जो भी बंदा पैसा इन्वेस्ट कर रहा है उनको भी वो उतना वो नहीं होगा लॉस जितना अगर कंपेरेटिव. आप जैसे केरला में उन्होंने भाई अनाउंसमेंट कर दिया था कि हम 8 न्यू स्टेडियम बनाएंगे हर जगह पे, यहाँ पे इस तरह से वो लाएंगे. जैसे सर ने बोला कि बड़े बड़े प्लेयरों के नाम चल रहे थे, और 2 बार तो उन्होंने अपनी डेडलाइन भी मिस कर दी. उन्होंने बोला था कि भाई हम पहले आई थिंक 2023 दिसंबर में बोल रहे थे कि हम स्टार्ट करने वाले हैं, देन अभी बोल रहे कि यहाँ पे अगस्त में. तो आई थिंक उस सेंस में मेरे को एक चीज अच्छी लगी कि एटलीस्ट ये लोग स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं. एंड ब्रॉडकास्टिंग वाइज एंड वो सारी चीजें वाइज आई थिंक एक सही तरीके से दिख रहा है कि चलो अब देखने को मिलेगा, ताकि पता चले कि हाँ भाई एग्जैक्टली इसका क्या हुआ. अदरवाइज तो आपका हो जाता है ना, काफी सारी चीजें आपको पता भी नहीं चलती. सो ब्रॉडकास्ट होगा प्रॉपर फीफा प्लस पे होगा, तो कहीं से भी आप देख सकते हो जो पॉइंट हमको लगता है कि भाई ये चीजें इंप्रूव होनी चाहिए, तो आप बता सकते हो। तो वो उस सेंस में मेरे को लगता है कि इट्स अ स्टार्ट, जैसे सर ने बोला कि ट्रायल एंड एरर वाला ये सीजन हो सकता है कि जहाँ पे काफी सारी चीजें सही भी नहीं है। एंड शेड्यूलिंग के रिगार्डिंग मेरे को लगता है कि शायद एक प्लेयर अवेलेबिलिटी का एक इश्यू हो सकता है, क्योंकि इससे ऐसा तो नहीं है कि जो प्लेयर्स आ रहे हैं वो एकेडमी से, क्लब से आ रहे हैं, मतलब जो फ्रेंचाइजी है उसी की, ये प्लेयर तो उनको दूसरी एकेडमीज और वहां से ही उठाने पड़ेंगे। सो आई थिंक उनकी अवेलेबिलिटी एक मे बी वन ऑफ द रीजन है कि इस सीजन ये लोग थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे आप बोल सकते हैं कि जो मई में स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, नेक्स्ट सीजन में भी आई थिंक किस तरह से आगे इसका सिनारियो रहता है उस हिसाब से अर्ली भी थोड़ा सा स्टार्ट हो सकता है। तो ये सारी चीजें हैं, बट लेट्स सी किस तरह से यहाँ पे आगे सारी चीजें अनफोल्ड होती है। म्यूट म्यूट।
Yeah, we're on the topic of these sort of state leagues, I know, and Abhijit is asking about what about states like UP and Bihar? What has been the plight of football in these states over the years? I mean, talking about your observations and what can we do to again improve football in these kind of states where there probably isn't as much football.
Again, there are states where football has been around for decades, or century plus. Let's say Bengal, Goa, even in a small state like Pondicherry, the French brought football over to that state. The northern belt, there are a lot of pockets where football was and wasn't played. So again, if you think that someone like a Magan Singh used to be a regular in the national team who was from Rajasthan, so there was a pocket in Rajasthan where they used to play football. Punjab has been very, very strong. UP has been weak, let's put it this way. So to me, that's a reality of again, we talk about leadership at the top, and again, UP then sort of becomes a weak point on that discussion. It's not there where it needs to be. Bihar to some extent as well. Bihar used to get away, I think, in the past, because you used to have, you didn't have Jharkhand, so the Tata Football Academy and Jamshedpur were actually part of Bihar state. But the point here is that there are a lot of states, Bihar and UP were mentioned. Prasenjit has just mentioned Chhattisgarh as well. Again, yeah, you have a corporate which is Bhilai Steel Plant, which is also hosted tournaments, which and the rest is not interested, right? So that is something which needs to grow. That there are places. A little earlier there were, Chennai was mentioned, but again, Chennai has a city league structure, right? Tamil Nadu, other districts have also district city leagues, town leagues, or district leagues. So again, I think also that we know at the top level, we're speaking about the ISL, we speak about the national teams, we speak about the I League. But there's a lot of football happening at the ground level, and I think that is where, in a state like Gujarat, you need to start off somewhere. Mason is saying you want good infrastructure in the north. I think to me, I go back to the African examples. It's not about the infrastructure. It's about wanting to play football. And even if there is an open ground, even if you don't have a football, play football, right? In India, there is this thought process that you have to have a perfect ground, you have to have a perfect football, and that is not going to happen. The rest of the world works on that. And we are not producing good enough footballers. That's another thing.
एक चीज सर उसमें जो आपने लास्ट में जो बिल्कुल सही है कि हमारे यहाँ पे वो थॉट प्रोसेस है कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सही हो जाना चाहिए, एकेडमी सारी हो जानी चाहिए, बिल्कुल सब कुछ सही हो जाना चाहिए, 100%. बाद में ही प्लेयर हम प्रोसेस में डालेंगे और आगे जाके प्लेयर निकलेगा। बट आप देखिए कि जब तक आप डिमांड नहीं क्रिएट कर पाओगे, गुजरात में मान लीजिए अभी स्टेट लीग स्टार्ट हुई है, तो अभी जैसे आप इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का क्वेश्चन है, तो अब होगी ना डिमांड कि हाँ भाई अभी आपने लीग तो स्टार्ट कर दी, अभी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है, तो धीरे धीरे फिर वो आगे बात बढ़ेगी, डिस्कशन में तभी आएगी ना, नहीं तो कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा तो क्या डिस्कशन में आएगा, बस चलता ही रहा है जैसे चल रहा है। तो आई थिंक वो सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी है कि एटलीस्ट आपको स्टार्ट तो करना पड़ेगा कहीं से। और ये एक बिल्कुल सही बात है कि ये जो पिक्चर परफेक्ट आपको सब कुछ चाहिए रेडीमेड, और फिर आप जाके यहाँ पे
अनरियलिस्टिक कोलकाता मैदान, you play league matches in open grounds, right? That happens with little limited grass. You play in the monsoons. Is that the perfect setting? No, it is not. But again, for a country like India to be able to have enough infrastructure to accommodate even all the footballers we have today, will not happen.
happen नहीं होगा.
Huh? And that to me is a very very clear thing that um, that we need to be realistic, and if we want football to be played across India, it will not be everywhere on. It's not going to be, with the lovely grass pitch and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think artificial turf has changed a lot of things in the last 15 years since it's been around, or 16, 17 years when the first ones came around, Salt Lake Stadium and Cooperage in Mumbai. And but otherwise, you have to play what you have, and that is a sad reality, right? So therefore, to me, the better infrastructure we have, the better it is for football. But to me, the most important thing of all things that we're discussing is the quality of coaching and the right system that the kids or even the adults are playing enough football matches through a calendar year.
Yeah. I know why you just mentioned just the want to play football, and something really came to mind. I just went to Spain and I saw like a bunch of kids just playing on concrete. It doesn't matter. They just want to play. They want to get out and play. And again, I want to bring this question: is there also the Indian
No,
mindset?
I just add you an example how we
Yeah.
used to play, which has gone away even in Germany to some extent. Because everyone wants now play on a ground. We
Yeah,
used to
yeah.
play behind with the garage being the goal, so to say. So we were also playing on concrete, right? Or we were playing on
Yeah.
the road, right? So, and that is where there's this saying in Germany that you have had street footballers, players like Mesut Özil. He's learned it in Gelsenkirchen on the road, and what you learn on the road, you will never learn on a football field, because it is rough and tough. You know to avoid to fall down and all these kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore,
इसमें सर
yeah, sorry.
इसमें सर ये जो यूएन क्राइफ की जो ऑटोबायोग्राफी है उसमें भी उन्होंने वही उसी चीज का मेंशन किया है कि हम जब यहाँ पे उन्होंने अपने बचपन की वो बात लिखी है उस पे कि हम जब छोटे थे तब हम यहाँ पे स्ट्रीट में खेलते थे तो वहां पे आपका जो पास है मतलब बॉल का पास है या फिर जो भी चीज आएगी वो अनइवन आएगी और उसको अगर आप कंट्रोल कर लोगे इवेंचुअली आपकी जो स्किल सेट है वो आपका वो डेवलप हो जाएगा। तो उसने बोला कि जो रोड का वो कर्बिंग होता है वहां से हम यहाँ पे क्या बोलते हैं कि वहां पे ट्रेनिंग करते थे कि भाई बॉल वहां से अनइवन पोजीशन में है, हाउ हाउ यू गोना कंट्रोल। एंड आप देखिए ब्राजील की बात की जाती है स्ट्रीट फुटबॉल की, इंडिया में आप एग्जांपल ले लो ना गली क्रिकेट। इंडिया में क्रिकेट के कौन से ऐसे यहाँ पे मेरे यहाँ पे कई राजकोट के सिवा पे आपके कोई ऐसा कोई बड़ा स्टेडियम उस सेंस में नहीं है, आप गली में खेल लेते हो, आप कहीं पे भी किसी का यहाँ पे छोटा सा यहाँ पे क्या बोलते कि वो होते वहां पे खेल लेते हो। तो आई थिंक वो जब तक नहीं है तब तक आप चाहे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की कितनी भी बात करो वो तो मतलब वही वाली क्या बोलते हैं कि वो पहले तो नहीं होने वाला। क्रिकेट में भी आप देखिए कि पहले कहाँ पे इतने ग्राउंड थे, वो तो आपने पैसा इतना आया और जब आपने सक्सेस हासिल की सारी चीजें हुई उसके बाद अब ग्राउंड बने, नहीं तो फिर तो यहाँ पे मेन सिटी में ही आपके ग्राउंड थे, बाकी जगह पे तो कहीं पे ऐसा कोई स्टेडियम तो नहीं थे।
100%.
And Hiren, you're saying gully cricket. I remember, you used to play as kids gully football as well, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember when
Exactly.
I was a very small kid, and I was 8 or 9, and I used to come in summer holidays from Germany. I was allowed to play with the older kids over there, right? Because he's coming from Germany, right? So it was quite funny, 8, 9-year-old playing with 13, 14-year-olds. But the point is that we were used to playing in those conditions, and the worse the ball was, the better, right? And so that's something. And Ashu, you can't make it to professional football if you get injured in street at a young age. Who says that? Ask Ronaldinho how many times he's fallen down on a concrete playing football. Or again, Neymar is a prime example. Neymar in his young age would have never done what he does now. Why? Because he's got grass. He would have never done this on a concrete field. So you getting injured, or you not getting injured, but getting bruises is part and parcel of what you've done, right?
Learning,
so
it's a part of learning.
And therefore that is something, is and again, if we are spoiling our players too much, even at youth level, let them play on bad grounds. And we allow people to get away. We complain and moan too much. That is our biggest problem.
Yep. Just taking a couple of comments, guys. Prasanjit telling us that Chhattisgarh also is conducting state leagues, but the investment's very less. I saw another one from Cartoon Stories in Kerala. A lot of technically built players, even better than some of our national team players, but most of them play sevens or fives. Let's hope youngsters take it as a take it as a new career step?
Let me talk about that sevens thing, because I remember NP Pradeep used to play sevens, and NP Pradeep is the biggest success story of a sevens player actually making it at national level and being an international player. The problem is, if you're used to playing sevens, you have difficulty to play 11-a-sides. I know friends in Kolkata who play 5-a-sides who most probably would be world class. Put them on an 11-a-side field, they will not be as effective. So that is the other thing, is that you have to transition at the right age to the right size of a ground and number of teammates.
Yep. True, Anu, and when Hiren also mentioned that the fact that Cruyff was talking about bad bounce, we actually took this even into our sort of our college preparation when we used to go for tournaments, because we had a turf ground and the ball would roll smoothly. But in reality, we wouldn't actually get such grounds. You would get wobbly, uneven grounds where the bounce wouldn't be good. You have to have a better first touch. And we actually said, you know what, let's go to the uneven areas of our campus and we start practicing there. It's
वो
very important.
राहुल
You won't get uneven
राहुल
grounds
किस
everywhere.
ये
Good
किसी भी
example.
फील्ड के लिए भाई, किसी भी फील्ड के लिए भाई ये लागू होता है कि एडवर्स कंडीशन ही इंसान को बेहतर बनाता है. अगर आप सब कुछ आपको ऑन प्लेटर मिल रहा है तो व्हाई वुड यू कैन से कि डू हार्ड वर्क और एनी वर्क, सिंपल एज दैट. सो यू नीड टू वर्क फॉर दैट ना. तो वो वाली चीज है यहाँ पे.
Many of the African players, again, the South American players, again, I think the Boniface example we were talking, I think yesterday, day before, at Bayer Leverkusen, who had nothing and was playing. They were not even playing with the football. A lot of these guys who are from, ask Didier Drogba and all these guys, they'll tell you stories, right? Not everybody comes from a rich background like a Kaka, whose father was a rich fella. Most of them have. Ask a Ronaldo, a real Ronaldo. Ask a Ronaldinho. Ask a Rivaldo. And points is also is that or take Messi for example, right? From what backgrounds he come. If Barcelona hadn't, again, this is also, I was talking to someone last night about scouting. If we're looking at scouting and being successful at the moment, right? Messi, in an Indian context, no one would pick up Lionel Messi as a talented player, because you'll say he's too small, he's too weak, and kuch nahi hoga uska. The scout's job is not to see that you win under 13, under 15. The scout's job needs to be to find the right players, at senior level, and that is something. If you have played on uneven grounds, so that is something which is there, and therefore, if players, some of them train on good facilities, and when they have to go to bad facilities, they can't cope. I've heard that from a number of ISL team academies say, "Arey, we had to play here, we had to play there, and we'd rather play on artificial turf than on those grounds." That's why the Neville D'Souza ground in Mumbai and all these grounds. And Mumbai has a number of these grounds where there is a lack of grass. Okay, but you learn to play football on these grounds.
आज ही मैं एक यहाँ पे अफ्रीकन किसी कंट्री का एक वीडियो देख रहा था. आई थिंक अंडर 12 या 13 के बच्चे खेल रहे थे. उसकी अगर आप उसका पिच का कंडीशन देखोगे तो आप बोलोगे कि हमारे यहाँ पे जो ग्राउंड है यहाँ पे वो तो उससे लाख गुना बेटर है. मतलब जो आपके यहाँ पे अंडर 17 मुस्लिम में खेले जाते हैं.
I traveled with the Indian national team. We went on a Caribbean tour. We ended up in the last match was in Guyana, and they have a stadium in Guyana which hosts cricket and football. So there was actually a cricket pitch in the middle of the ground for an international football match. And that's a FIFA certified ground. And the Indian boys are saying, how can we play on this? There's no grass. There's a bloody cricket pitch in the middle. Right? And the Guyana guys are saying, yeah, so what and in the Caribbean it happens quite a bit, because of the West Indies, that you have those stadiums, those multi-purpose stadiums, where you play cricket and football. And it's not like in India, they used to do it in Goa and in Kerala in the past, where they used to dig out the cricket pitch, fill it with grass, and then take it out again and put the pitch in again. Or it used to happen at Eden as well when it used to have those football matches in the past, right? So therefore, I think if I like it or not, I always have to adjust to the realities. And this is what I've been saying in the last few days, also with ISL coaches, I understand the heat is terrible. It's unbearable. But what we used to play at -15, -20 in the past. Nobody asked that. Nowadays, you don't play in Europe as well, because you don't adjust to the situation, because you say, listen, okay, in these conditions, we will not play. And then suddenly you realize that amateur players suddenly have to play like, European Cup sort of situation. You play on a Sunday, you play on a Saturday, you play on a Friday.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, you can continue if you can hear us.
Sorry, I can hear you now. So,
Yeah,
again, these are realities. So therefore, if we come back to the original point, the Gujarat Super League, let it start. I think they will most probably do a few mistakes down the road. I hope they are honest enough to say, listen, guys, we've done these mistakes, and then you rectify it down the road. Because it is better to start small. Because if I've on ironfoot.com I've got the schedule, right? I mean, you're playing on the
Yeah.
first, you're playing on the fourth, but you're playing on the fourth, and then you're playing on the fifth, 8th, 10th, and 12th. The schedule is, for example, the schedule, right, would be my first thing. Okay, you've got 13 days, so to say, from the 1st to the 12th to play this competition. How do you sort this out? Then start playing, 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, maybe 10th. I don't know, right? So the question is, have these conversations happened, or have they just created something? Are they experts involved in all? So that is something that I hope that the Gujarat State Football Association looks at and evolves and develops. Because again, I think they have something which is interesting, but it cannot be copied everywhere where you have football. I'm not a fan if you start to do the same thing in Bengal, or if you want to do the same thing in a Karnataka or a Goa or a Mumbai or a Delhi, where you have leagues, right? So therefore, the Kerala thing is a little tricky, where I say you have a system. It is, again, the Blasters are the anomaly because it's attracting huge crowds. Even Gokulam Kerala, not that much, to be very honest. So therefore, how can you work around this to grow football and enable football to grow? And that is the challenge of each state, to find a solution which works. That's why I always say India is a subcontinent, or not. We should not see it as a country.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hiren, let's move. Like, moving on to the technical committee's recommendations. Can you tell us what has been recommended? Of course, we've got a couple of youth teams as well that have been discussed about. Yeah, just generally, what has the meeting given us?
So they have a technical committee's recommendation, and then AFF has appointed 3 coaches. For Indian national women's team, they appointed Chauba Devi, who was with the team in this Turkish Cup in February. So he has given I would say, extension, or maybe a proper contract. Now they didn't mention the length of the contract or anything like that. Second, another 2 appointment are the India under 16 men's and under 19 men's. Under 16 Ishfaq Ahmed, and under 19 has been appointed to Ranjan Chaudhary. So these 3 appointment has been done, and एक चीज यहाँ पे मतलब इंडिया अंडर 16 की अपॉइंटमेंट की है, तो मतलब अभी आई थिंक नेक्स्ट 1 और 2 मंथ में मे बी कैंप लगाएंगे, मैचेस होंगे. एंड इशफाक अहमद आई थिंक रियल कश्मीर से भी अब उनका सफर खत्म हो चुका है. रंजन चौधरी इंडिया अंडर 19 को यहाँ पे लीड करेंगे. आई थिंक सितंबर अक्टूबर में मेरे हिसाब से एशियन अंडर 17 एंड अंडर 20 के, अंडर 19 या 20 के आपके क्वालिफायर्स है. सो सितंबर अक्टूबर में वो दोनों वो आपको खेलने हैं. सो उससे पहले आई थिंक मई, जून, जुलाई, अगस्त 4 मंथ है. तो लेट्स सी कितना यहाँ पे वो इसमें कैंप लगाते हैं, कितने मैचेस यहाँ पे जो इंडिया अंडर 17, अंडर 16 एंड इंडिया अंडर 19 है उनको मिलते हैं, वो देखते हैं. बट दिस 3 अपॉइंटमेंट हैज बीन डन बाय द AFF.
Okay. Ashu saying that Gokulam Kerala, you mentioned, he's saying that they used to draw huge crowds and hasn't happened now. But yeah, Anava, your thoughts on the recommendations and appointments?
About Chauba, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the senior national team and the women's would have preferred a foreign coach, but I think it's a budget question. So therefore, she has been reappointed and kept with Priya and with Roni Bala as assistant coach and as goalkeeping coach. So that's the recommendation. Ishfaq has done a good job with the under 16 winning staff. So and Ishfaq is an experienced customer. He has Yan Law and Mohammad Zakir Hussain as his as assistant and goalkeeping coach. Ranjan Chaudhary is an interesting one with Sandeep Nandi as goalkeeping coach. No assistant mentioned or appointed, because Ranjan Chaudhary has been long time East Bengal assistant coach, has coached teams in the Calcutta Football League as well. So he's an experienced guy. But again, and he's qualified on paper, but are these the coaches that you want to have in the system? Because I think some of the other ones who potentially could have coached these teams are all assistant coaches in the ISL, and I think the clubs will not release those coaches. So that's another problem that a Renedy, a Clifford, those kind of guys are not, or Floyd, who's coached the under 19s, under 20s in the past as well, that those guys are not available.
So are you guys filled with optimism, or what has this done for you, especially with women's football in regards to women's football?
I think my expectation is not very big, because I think एक जो अभी हम बात कर रहे थे कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर रेडी होना चाहिए, सब कुछ होना चाहिए, उसमें एक ये भी पॉइंट आता है कि हमारे यहाँ पे सब कोई चाहता है कि कोचेस भी इंडियन ही होने चाहिए. ये मतलब आप पहले एक चीज तो कोई भी एक सही से कर लो, बाद में सारी चीजें ऑटोमेटिक यहाँ पे फॉल इन प्लेस हो जाएगी. मेरा सिर्फ इतना, जैसे सर ने बोला कि ऑन पेपर एक क्वालिफाइड है, सारी चीजें मे भी अच्छे भी हो सकते हैं, मे भी हम यहाँ पे हमको रॉन्ग भी प्रूव कर सकते हो, बट आई थिंक अभी तक जो रहा है कि आपको यहाँ पे अगर यूथ लेवल पे आपको बेटर, आज आई थिंक पीटर केटकी ने जो कल यहाँ पे 1-2 दिन पहले ही आई थिंक इंटरव्यू दिया है स्पोर्ट्स कीड़ा पे, एंड मैंने उसका मेंशन भी आज किया था मेरे वीडियो में, कि उन्होंने बोला कि जब यंग इंडियन प्लेयर को मैं ट्रेन करता हूँ मुंबई सिटी एफसी पे, तो टैक्टिकली एंड टेक्निकली मेरे को उसमें कुछ मिसिंग लगता है, एंड स्ट्रेंज वे में उन्होंने बोला कि वो मिसिंग लगता है. एंड सडनली जब आप उनके उस प्लेयर के साथ 3-4 वीक वो बात करते हो, जो इन्फॉर्मेशन शेयर करते हो, एंड सडनली आपको उसके एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग में उसके क्या बोलते कि ग्रोथ आपको वहां पे देखने को मिलता है. सो दैट इज व्हाट नीडेड एट द मोमेंट. मैं भी चाहता हूँ कि इंडियन कोचेस यहाँ पे हो, बट पहले आपको यहाँ पे, जब तक आपके पास उस तरह के रिसोर्सेस नहीं है, तब तक तो आपको आउटसोर्स ही करना पड़ेगा ना. तो आई थिंक दैट्स वेयर आई थिंक आपको अंडर 17, अंडर 19, मेरे को लगता है कि वहाँ पे फॉरेन कोचेस की जरूरत थी, क्वालिटी फॉरेन कोचेस, जैसे पीटर केटकी जिन्होंने यूथ के साथ काम किया हुआ है, ऐसे कोचेस आई थिंक आप ला सकते थे. एंड बजट का सर ने बोला, बट आई थिंक मेरे को लगता है कि अगर आपकी प्रायोरिटीज ए है तो आप बजट में कहीं ना कहीं से मैनेज कर सकते हो. बाकी चीजों में जो आपको लगता है कि नहीं भाई फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी हमारी ये है एंड सेकंड थर्ड वो है, तो आपको कहीं ना कहीं इसे मैनेज करना चाहिए मेरे हिसाब से. एटलीस्ट मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा कि चलो भाई आप अंडर 17, अंडर 20 सब जगह पे कर दो एक साथ. आपकी प्रायोरिटीज अगर होती तो आप अंडर 17 पे पहले लाते इस साल, फिर आप नेक्स्ट सीजन आप कहीं से अगर मैनेज कर पाते तो फिर अंडर 20 में भी ला देते. तो आई थिंक उस सेंस में मेरे को लगता है कि क्वालिटी कोचेस के लिए हमें जाना चाहिए था. एंड तभी जाके आपको जो ये अभी आप देखिए, इंडोनेशिया इज डूइंग द ब्रिलियंट इन द एफसी अंडर 23 एशियन कप. क्या परफॉर्मेंस, मैंने उनका मैच भी देखा आज, एंड जापान वर्सेस कतार का मैं मैच देख रहा था कल जो हुआ, दैट वाज आल्सो इनक्रेडिबल मैच. कतार भले ही हार गई हो, बट विद 10 मैन जिस तरह से उन्होंने परफॉर्मेंस दी है एंड जिस तरह से उनके प्लेयर खेल रहे थे, आई थिंक हमारी जो सीनियर नेशनल टीम है वो भी नहीं टिक सकती भाई. दे डोंट हैव अ चांस दिस अगेंस्ट दिस अंडर 23. So they are technically that much you can say good players. So in that sense मेरे को लगता है कि this should have been a priority, कि जहाँ पे आपके quality coaches at the youth levels for the national teams, both men's and women's, I think होने चाहिए थे. But at the moment that is not looking the case. And एक ही जगह पे सारा पैसा क्या बोलते कि वो जा रहा है ट्रांसफर, वो है इंडियन नेशनल मेंस टीम के कोच थे आगे. उनके लिए आप देखिए कि आप क्या बोलते कि एशियन कप में वो कौन सा वो लाए थे सेट पीसेस कोच, उसका नाम क्या था?
ट्रेविस सिंक्लेयर.
हाँ, ट्रेविस सिंक्लेयर. उनके लिए सारी चीजें आपके पास, आप कैसे भी करके मैनेज कर देते हो. आपके पास वुमेन्स टीम के लिए नहीं है, आपके पास अंडर 17, अंडर 20 के लिए नहीं है. सो दैट इज द रियली डिसअपॉइंटिंग थिंग फॉर मी.
But Hiren, if we just quickly talk about the Indonesia under 23s, what is the reason of the success? The real reason.
काफी सारे नहीं काफी सारे लोग इसमें एक पॉइंट बोल रहे हैं कि उनके 4-5 प्लेयर वो नेदरलैंड के हैं इसलिए.
Very simple, and that is they are playing players of Indonesian origin. Very simple. If Indonesia played with its own set of players, I don't even know if they would have qualified for the tournament. So that's another reality that one needs to talk about, right? It's not the growth of football in Indonesia which is the reason why they are where they are. They have smartly integrated players of origin into their system. What the Philippines did a while back, who were a non-starter at a decade to 12 years back, and that's the simple point. Because I think at the moment we were talking about the growth of football within India, I think that's the biggest struggle that we'll have. And if I see the players, Justin Hubner is playing for them, right? He's a Wolverhampton Wanderers player. Played the Asian Cup. Rafael Struijk, the striker, played the Asian Cup. So it's not just that they are coming in and playing suddenly for the under 23s, but they're also playing for their senior team. So you've got that experience, So therefore, for me, very, very clear that we need to find solutions. There are certain short-term solutions in the local market, and there are external solutions, and that's something which is, so therefore, let's see where it goes.
Yeah, and just taking this one from Gaurav, if Kalyan Chaubey is removed by the Supreme Court, then there's definitely a FIFA ban incoming, right? Because that is external interference in matters of sporting organization, sporting body of football.
It is one of the, yes, a danger, because I don't know if you followed what is happening with Spain, because Spain the government has said, they have an independent body to look after what is happening in the Spanish Federation. Of course, also linked with what's been happening around the president of the Spanish Federation, and that case after the final of the FIFA Women's World Cup last year. So Spain has been put by FIFA and UEFA on alert and say, guys, and it happened with Brazil also recently, right? The Supreme Court in Brazil also removed the president and other members, and they had to be reinstated with the clearance of the Brazilian Supreme Court. So therefore, I think, let's see what happens.
एंड ये जो कौन बोल रहा है कि पहले 8 मंथ की क्या बोलते कि पहले 2 मंथ का होता था, अब यहाँ पे 8 मंथ का है, इसलिए यहाँ पे आप नहीं ला सकते. तो अभी कहाँ हमारी इंडिया अंडर 17 पे पूरे साल खेल रही है. आपका साफ खेला और अभी आप एशियन कप क्वालिफायर्स खेलेंगे. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि भाई पूरे साल में वो एक्सपोजर टूर कर रहे हैं, मैचेस खेल रहे हैं.
No, we've done that all now. The under 17 World Cup squad was prepared that way. I worked with the DFB. We got Nicola Adam from the Germans. They spend a lot of time down the road from here in Duisburg at the Sportschule. They went to Brazil. They went to Russia. They trained in the Balkans. Played in England. Played here. Played there. They've had a lot of exposure. Under 16s played against Norway. Who did they play? Erling Haaland. Right? So we have had those exposures. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. That is the biggest problem that we've been seeing. So therefore, to me, that is something that we need to find solutions to, and there need to be short-term and mid-term and long-term solutions. But again, we come back to the topic of leadership. That's the point, right? If the technical committee, to me, keeps Igor Stimac in the job, then that to me raises question about the qualification and the whoever is in there. It doesn't matter if it's I'm Vijan, whoever they are.
बट सर सरप्राइज चीज ये है कि जब टेक्निकल कमेटी ने उस टाइम पे रिकमेंड मतलब यूनानिमसली उन्होंने डिसाइड किया था कि कोच शुड बी सेव्ड, तब आपने उसको नहीं माना, एंड अभी ये सारे आपने वो कर दिए थे. सो टेक्निकल कमेटी की एग्जिस्टेंस ही सबसे बड़ा तो क्वेश्चन है.
So therefore whatever we're talking about the coaches also, it's a recommendation from their side. So it's a very interesting thing. It's not been said, they've been appointed. So that's an interesting thing also, because we remember it happened with Thomas Dennerby, right? Remember they said, Anthony Andrews is supposed to take over as national team coach. The women's came forward and said, no. We can you please, we want Dennerby to stay. And then Dennerby stayed. So therefore, I'm interested to see what happens now, because again, Hiren, you remember we also, saw the women's team matches and the comments from the coach. Yeah, the less said, the better.
What better? वही वाला scenario.
At least with the technical committee, I think, like you guys mentioned, their recommendations and whether their appointments eventually remains to be seen, and that's the interesting part when it comes to this. Of course,
एक चीज और यहाँ पे राहुल मैं मेंशन करना चाहूंगा कि इन्होंने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लेंथ नहीं है यहाँ पे मेंशन किया है कि कितने मतलब टाइम के लिए यहाँ पे अपॉइंट किया है.
No, but they never do that. Kiran, they never do that.
Why?
I
Why?
don't know. I don't know. I've never heard that how
It
long a
should be,
contract for someone is.
बट ये तो होना ही चाहिए कि कहीं हर जगह पे होता
अरे
है
होना
प्रोफेशनल
तो
गेम का.
हिरेन होना तो चाहिए. Then तो we should do a lot of things. होना चाहिए in Indian
बट
football,
नहीं
right?
नहीं नहीं, आप जो बोल रहे कि पहले भी नहीं होता था, बट ये तो नया एएफएफ है. दिस पीपल आर डूइंग गुड वर्क, सो ये होना चाहिए.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see whether or
मतलब
not.
चलो आपने यूथ लेवल का भी नहीं, यूथ लेवल का भी नहीं, बट सीनियर वुमेन्स टीम के जो कोचेस है
And
उसका तो होना चाहिए.
Rahul, he said it so seriously and he stayed. He didn't laugh himself. Huh?
Yeah, but he didn't. He didn't.
बट आप देखिए सीनियर आपकी वुमेन्स टीम है, उसके कॉन्ट्रैक्ट उसके तो कोच का तो होना चाहिए कि भाई हम इसको 1 साल के लिए यहाँ पे अपॉइंट कर रहे कि 2 साल के लिए कर रहे.
It's a monthly thing, na? Next month tournament है तो खेलेंगे and then they'll see in July. Then we'll again see if we continue or not, na? It's a rolling contract, monthly.
Yeah.
मंथली कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को 11 मंथ का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं देते उस तरह से.
Right. Because see, they've learned a lesson. Na? They've given someone a very long contract. Na? So therefore now they only give 1 month contract.
1 month contract.
Well, yeah, like you guys mentioned, I think it'll be interesting to see whether these technical committee recommendations are actually taken, and whether they actually sort of you pursue your interest in them and the recommendations itself. As for the leagues, Hiren, I've got friends from Gujarat, I think, who are proper football fans. And it's not just like that; they're just they play football here every now and then, or they're just watching a couple of games, or like really proper football fans. And I think it's good to see that there's a league coming up in the state, and hopefully that encourages people from the state as well to really take to football in the state and probably support their local teams as well. Yeah, guys, Gujarat Super League, Kerala Super League, we've run through them, even the technical committee's recommendations for the Indian women's teams. We're inching closer to those two semi-final second legs, which are they're so close, and it's just a 1 goal difference. Anything can happen, of course, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be there for both the games, like we've already mentioned. That yeah, here.
एक लास्ट में मैं अनाउंसमेंट कर देता हूँ कि जो भी लोग देख रहे हैं, आपको अगर कोई भी मतलब क्वेश्चन है रिगार्डिंग द गुजरात सुपर लीग, तो आप मेरे को ट्विटर या फिर इंस्टाग्राम पे डीएम कर सकते हो. मैं परसों यहाँ पे जो गुजरात स्टेट एफए के जो जनरल सेक्रेटरी है उनके साथ इंटरव्यू करने वाला हूँ. सो हम वहाँ पे उनको ये क्वेश्चन आपके मन में जो भी क्वेश्चन है रिगार्डिंग दिस जीएसएल वो पूछ सकते हैं.
That'd be great. If anybody wants to know anything regarding the Gujarat Super League, you can send that over to Hiren on his Twitter and Instagram. Yeah,
and Rahul, let's again say the news of the day happened to short notice. Those of you who still not heard about it, Ivan Vukomanovic is no longer.
But एक सर,
sorry, yeah.
ये नहीं आप सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट सर, बट एक चीज यहाँ पे इंटरेस्टिंग ये हुई कि किसी ने ये न्यूज ब्रेक नहीं की. स्ट्रेट अवे फ्रॉम द क्लब स्टेटमेंट सीधा ही न्यूज आ गया कि ही हैज बीन सेक्ड. ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि किसी ने यहाँ पे ब्रेकआउट किया था कि भाई ये होने वाला है या फिर ऐसा कुछ हो सकता है.
See, it is still, even with this whole social media ecosystem and the media and whatever there, clubs can still get such a news out when they want to, right? So therefore, I feel that's a good sign today that Kerala Blasters themselves have been able to announce this, that this is happening, rather than 50 people saying what, he's gonna get sacked. Of course, they packaged it nicely by saying we've parted ways. Parted ways normally means we've thrown them out. So therefore, that's PR speak. That's PR speak, and I think that's an interesting one. And therefore, it'll be interesting to see who the Kerala Blasters now bring in, because it'll be interesting to see also with the players that they have, can they bring in someone who can develop talent, because they've got a very talented squad. And the right foreigners who are fit enough to play a whole season. That's, I think, another thing we'll talk at the end of the season. You need to try and figure out foreigners who can play 8-9 months consistently.
For sure. And Arnav, you just mentioned, I think we can have a nice chat about who will potentially replace Vukomanovic also in the coming days. It'll be interesting. We've got a long summer ahead of us anyways, until the start of the new ISL season. So, yeah, a lot of stuff to talk about. Guys, thanks so much for joining in. Everybody in the chat, please do like and share the videos. Subscribe to Sports Khabri, Kirisai, and Arun Foot. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.